Thank you for staying with us. You are still watching E Central. Now, before the break, we brought you some of the biggest stories making the rounds right now, and I did promise you a good conversation. We're about to get into it. We're about to talk serious business on the show today with the re-return of Nollywood classics. Now, let's talk about leveraging AI and blockchain, especially for a cinematic revival, or should I say the success of Nollywood's future. Joining us right now is digital finance and media analyst Osahon Kelvin. Kelvin, good to have you on the show.
Great to be here. Great to be here, Danny. I'm excited to be here.
Fantastic. I mean, Nollywood has grown over the years, no doubt, and there are a lot of classic films that we can all remember from our childhood, right? Now, in this time and age, we're seeing them come back, re-return, a new spin. Now, do you think this is necessary for the industry? Let me start by asking you that, Kevin.
Of course, it is very necessary. And the reason why this is happening is because of various factors. Old Nollywood content, especially from the likes of Aki and Popo, or Sophia, Peter Edoche, Genevieve Naji, Omotola, and the likes, they keep coming back, So one of the reasons why we think this is happening is because of the authenticity of the content being released at the time. It had a lot of cultural relevance, what I'm saying. Unlike the music industry, why we don't have a lot of that happening in the music industry is because for the music industry, there's a lot of competition, just crazy, and you need a lot of fresh content to stay relevant. Not really because the content that was put out back then is more authentic than what we have now, right? What we have is that there has to be constant release of music. For instance, Tubaba, as talented as Tubaba is, and as powerful as he was, I mean, he needs to put out new content to be socially relevant today. So yes, the reason why I kind of took this angle to responding to you is that it is necessary for us to see that there is a lacuna that needs to be filled in the industry, and we need to revisit the concept of authentic content, and also look at distribution as a way to get to the heart of moving Nollywood to where it's supposed to be.
Kelvin, I must confess, you mentioning some of those names already brings back memories. Aki and Popo, always a classic, or Sophia in London, we laughed, we loved them, but let's talk a little about, of course, this re-return, right? We've seen other studios, take up of, big films like Nneka the Pretty Serpent, a lot of these films. I'm asking you personally, because some people's fear is the fact that this re-returns of these classics kind of mess up the original versions, It doesn't do as great of a story. In some cases, the actors or the plot, you're thinking, should it really come back or should it not? For those who fear that, the new ones or the newer versions might, ruin the classics, what would you have to tell them?
Yeah, so I totally agree with you. It's always very dicey, taking on classics and redoing them. I mean, it's always very dicey. So it's best, not just in Nollywood, in all markets, it's always a very risky game. And if you're able to, do this again and you do it in a way that kind of meets up to the standard, especially for people who have seen the content, the original content and enjoyed it, if you can get 80% satisfaction rate, you've done a very good job. But usually it's hardly ever up to 100% satisfaction rate. Usually because nostalgia cannot be replaced unless it is nostalgia itself. So the feeling of those memories cannot be replaced on better quality camera or, so that same feeling of nostalgia is original. You can't replace it. So it's not really that they've taken actress or actors who's not been able to deliver, but you really can't replace nostalgia.
That's a good point. I like that before this you had brought up music into it, and this brings me to our second part of this conversation. Of course, while I do get the nostalgic feeling, music has been unable to do that as successful as films have. Now, a huge conversation is AI, artificial intelligence, and there's a lot of arguments if you've heard around, based on music, AI, replacing, and it seems very, very skeptical, especially when music is involved. But how can AI contribute to Nollywood films? In what areas do you think that AI might be able to assist and make the industry even bigger and the films even better, than what we're showing now?
Just a quick cut to the chase. One of the problems we have in Nollywood today is distribution. Distribution in the sense that we have a market problem. We don't have a quality problem. We don't have a talent problem. We have a market So if we had we have over 200 million people in Nigeria. Well, I can tell you for sure that the revenue generated by old Nollywood is far, far much more than the revenue generated by new Nollywood. You'll be shocked, right? So between in the 1990s and in the early 2000s, Nollywood was doing north of $200 million in annual revenue and over $600 million in the early 2000s. But that has nosedived. Why? Generally in the media market, even in music globally, that when there was a shift to digital, that kind of happened. But other markets and industries like music, they've been able to pick up. But Nollywood in Nigeria and in the film market in Africa in general has not been able to pick up because the market problem exists. And this is as a result of the inability for the film producers to distribute their market to people who are able to actually watch it. People, the numbers. So the numbers of people who can watch a movie in a cinema in Nigeria is small compared to the number of people who we have in Nigeria. And if you want to spend money to produce a film that really has good quality, you're talking $1 million and upward, no investor will commit that kind of amount when they're not sure of the ROI. So what is the problem? We need to get single movies to as many eyeballs as possible. So cinemas would not cut it. Netflix, you only have over 150,000, just around that number, 150,000 subscribers, which is nothing compared to 200 million. So if we have 20 million Nigerians watching a singular release, that's at 1,000 naira per movie or less, you're looking at a minimum of 20 billion for that movie alone. So AI is able to help us, translate movies at low cost to various Nigerian languages, such that you release a movie in English, and in a week we have the movie in Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, Edo, Esan, Tiv, all the languages, about 100 languages, and it is distributed locally. So that's where blockchain comes in.
I mean, this is interesting, I mean, the numbers are, quite revealing for me. But now I think this language is a huge part. So you're telling me that you believe that the next step, especially when it comes to distribution, would be using AI to, of course, enable other languages, and people will then be able to watch from different parts. So you do think that this will solve major of the problems that it comes to, marketing and distribution?
Yeah, so this will solve because the thing is, my point is, the people who really will be able to watch and contribute, I mean, when we say we have 200 million people, we just have a very small number of people who are able to actually live the urban lives, or should I say, who are the middle class. And the middle class is always being threatened with inflation. So there is a lot of tough time for these guys, even the small middle class that we have, right? So what I'm saying is, if we can get this content down to people who will connect with it in a way that they don't have to adjust themselves. I don't have to plan to attend to visit a cinema. I don't have to have a budget. I can sit in my house wherever I live on the mainland, wherever I live in the middle belt, in the southeast and the south, and just in the comfort of my house, I can watch this movie and I can pay maybe just 200, 1,000, right? And I don't have to try to understand the movie in English. I'm Yoruba. I understand the movie in Yoruba. I understand the movie in Igbo. I understand the movie in Urobo. That's a large audience right there.
I must agree with you. As Africans, or should I say as Nigerians, we do have a lot of language. So I see why that is, a big deal. But of course, when you look at the role of AI, there's a lot more, not just language, but also upscaling the visuals to improving sound, of course, editing, even script writing. I guess my only question would be, then what's slowing Nollywood down? Why is it taking a while longer, for these to be adapted, AI especially, into, our movies to properly, of course, get these films to everyone who wants to see them?
So the thing with Nollywood is there's no investment in technology. So there's a lot of talk around movies, a lot of movie seminars, a lot of movie conferences, Nollywood events here and there. But there's nobody's talking about technology. And the truth is, technology is the only way Nollywood can solve this problem. Distribution, there has to be a lot of incubators, hackathons. There has to be a lot of deliberate move towards getting people to set up, challenge the tech industry. The tech industry has solved the problem, for finance in Nigeria, and you can see the most successful, one of the most profitable businesses in Nigeria is the financial services sector, and it's because they've been able to, take technology, right, and they've been able to challenge technology. The likes of Paystack, Flutterwave, MoneyPoint. These are companies that have become global companies as a result of being able to harness technology to grow the traditional finance that we had before. If you had to do any transfer or if you had to send any money to anyone, you had to walk into a bank, and if once it's 4 o'clock, you're able to do nothing. But most transactions happen even after 4 o'clock down to the next day because they've been able to harness technology. But Nollywood, all we talk about is script writing, all we talk about is cinematography, right? We'll talk about is acting skills. Nobody's talking about how do we set up incubators, how do we set up technology contests to encourage the very talented technology practitioners that we have in Nigeria to come up with new solutions to solve this problem. Netflix will not solve the problem for us. In fact, they came and they left us. Prime, they came and they're leaving us. MultiChoice is doing a lot of work, but a lot more has to be done in terms of creating technology that will solve the problem. Lastly, blockchain is one technology that will help to solve the issue of piracy. While YouTube is doing a lot of work for Nollywood producers today, they are not able to maximize the ROI because YouTube is not 100% the solution for piracy, right? So there are different ways blockchain can contribute because once we're able to sit down and say, okay, we need the guys who are able to think and create solutions in this sector to come up and come up with these technologies, and you challenge them. Trust me, you'll be surprised what they can come up with.
Kelvin, I absolutely wish we had more time. And true, technology has caused the evolvement or the innovation in several sectors, and it will only do the same for Nollywood. I wish I could ask more questions, but Kelvin, again, thank you so much for shedding light and the call to action for a lot of investors and Nollywood as a whole. Thank you again for being a part of the show.
Thank you very much, and nice speaking with you.